Welcome to the Wish I'd Known Then podcast, where we focus on how authors found success, looking at strategies that have taken them to the top of the bestseller charts, as well as what they've learned from their mistakes. Because being an indie author is more than knowing the latest marketing trend. It's about being innovative and creative and learning from your mistakes.
Welcome to the Wish I'd Known Then podcast. I'm Sara Rosette.
And I'm Jami Albright. And this week on the show we have
Cheryl Phipps.
Yes, we do. And I love Cheryl so much. I'm a huge Cheryl Phipps fan.
Yeah, she's a great author to talk to about, writing and craft and friendships. Especially we talked with her a lot because she's with the Spa Girls podcast. And we talked about that a lot. And her transition from romance into cozy.
Yep. Yeah, that was really interesting conversation, just how all that breaks down for her. It's really, really interesting. So what's been going on with you this week?
Well, I've had a busy week, but I wanted to do a follow-up about the last week I talked about my email issues and how I didn't realize that, I should have had them on a separate platform. And for me, I was like, oh, should I talk about this or not? But I feel like that's what we're doing is we are sharing what we're learning. And this is hard for me because I always want to be seen as competent and intelligent and I know what I'm doing. And so, but I went ahead and shared it and I'm glad I did because I've heard from some other authors that were like, oh, I didn't know that either. So hopefully that will help people. And I think I'm about to get it wrangled and sorted out. So that's good. But anyway, so it's been a busy week and I had an event last night with a bookstore. Well, it's a woman, it's called, a book bus. She has a little VW bus and she sells books out of it. It's so cute. She has an Instagram feed. Fun. Yeah. So I'll post the link to the feed in her Instagram feed in the notes. So but she's in Cincinnati. So it's too cold during the winter to do a lot of book events outdoors. So in the winter, she said they were switching to some online stuff. So we had a Zoom call and she had a bunch of readers and we talked about books and mysteries and it was lots of fun. So that was very cool.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. What a great idea.
Yeah. So I'd never heard of a book bus, but that was cool.
Yeah. That is very cool. Yeah. I love that.
So what about you?
Well, I'm working on duking it out and I don't know if I mentioned that I was having somebody help me kind of with the beats and stuff. And I got that. I got that back and it's great. And so I've been working on that. My quarantine story is going to be coming out in February. I was thinking 1st February, but it's probably going to be the end because I want to go ahead and write another epilogue for it or write an epilogue for it. And, but I don't know. This feels kind of weird, but I'm going to say it anyway because I think it's important. So a few months ago, I started doing this thing, and we'll put the link in the show notes if anybody's interested because I'm happy to do it. But I have this twice a month. I send out a newsletter, a new author discovery newsletter, and anyone that has a newsletter with 2,500 people or less are welcome to fill out the form. Your book has to be professionally edited. It has to be professionally covered. We curate them based on just that and the reviews. So if there are a bunch of reviews that say this book needs an editor, we probably won't put it out. But for the most part, we've had really good success. And my readers have really loved being introduced to new new authors. It was just something I felt like I wanted to do because, it's hard to kind of get a leg up and it's hard to get a newsletter and it's hard to find readers. And so I started it, I don't know, about 5 or 6 months ago or something.
Yeah, I was going to say quarantine had happened, but it wasn't.
I think it was during the summer. Yeah. Anyway, so I was looking for a cover for this quarantine book. Right. And I just was going to do a pre-made cover because I don't want to spend a lot of money on it. And I put it in a group, hey, does anybody have any good pre-made cover sites? And one of the women whose book went out in my new author discovery messaged me. She makes covers and she's like, I want to do a cover for you. So I got to pick my image. It's so great. It's just so cute and great. And she was great with me because I'm terrible with covers because I'm like, I don't know. And, and I go back and forth about a million times, and she just has been so great. But I mean, I think that's just, it's kind of a lesson in kindness. I didn't do it to get anything back. But my kindness spurred her to be kind to me, and I'm sure to other people. And I called my mom after that happened, and I just said, I want to thank you for teaching me to be kind, because I don't think that's taught enough. And so anyway, that's important.
Yeah, and that's very cool.
Yeah, it's very cool, and it is such a cute cover. I'm so happy with it.
Yeah, she showed it to me the other day, and it looks great.
Yeah,
it fits with all your others, the branding, but it's a little bit different, so you know that it's not part of the series, but it does look like a Jami Albright cover.
Right, and the name of the book was Love, Quarantine, and Other Inconveniences, but I changed the name because it was too long to get on the cover. Bless her heart, she tried. So now it's Locked in Love, a quarantine story. So that's the name of the book, and it'll be out in February sometime. And but that's not the only thing I've been working on. I spent a good deal of time yesterday working on a cover, just as a little spoof thing for the whole Bernie Sanders in the chairs.
Yeah, so we should say we're recording this on January 22nd. So if you haven't seen the meme of Bernie Sanders sitting in the chair with the mittens, this is what spurred this on, right?
Yeah,
part of it.
So I saw a bunch of memes and everything, and I thought, so I made a cover, and it's running to the Mitten Man, and and I put it up and said, hey y'all, the next bride's book is coming at you, because my bride's books are running from a rock star, running with a sweet talker. Well, my readers just were cracking up, and they just thought it was so funny, and they're like, when's the story? So I stayed up until midnight last night. Ask me the last time I stayed up to midnight writing anything that would make me money. Never.
Maybe never.
I stayed up till midnight writing this Bernie Sanders meme story. And I don't even know, I have no feelings one way or the other about Bernie Sanders. It's just it's the funniest thing. The memes are hilarious. So anyway, that is be on my in my group on my Instagram by the time this comes out. So anyway,
that is hilarious. I can't wait to see it. Oh, that's funny.
It's locked up for almost 11 months. So anyway,
so this is the result. Memes.
Yeah. Meme stories, useless. But they make you laugh. So, that's all that really matters at this point.
And I do have, before we go to the interview real quick, I forgot I have two things I was going to share that are kind of newsy and helpful. So, there's a new site called ScribeCount. And I don't know if you've heard of it. It's, it's a browser. It's a browser extension. And so like you log in, and it's if you're wide and you want to see all your sales, you log into it, you enable the extension. Had you seen that? And then it collates everything for you. You have to log in.
My son-in-law sent it to me.
It is so cool.
My son-in-law sent it to me, but
I tried it out, and it really is nice, and it works I've got a 14-day trial right now, so you can try it out. And my request would be that they add Ingram Spark, Find a Way, and ACX, because right now it's just for like the main vendors, but I think they are going to expand and add more stuff. But it gives you this little graph, and it has tons of data. It breaks it all out about. You can look at historical data. Yeah, it's really good. So, and it's really needed because it's just such a pain to pull all the, all the other sites. So that was cool. So we'll link to that. And then, the other thing was an article from the Bookbub Partners Blog. And I don't know if you saw it. It's about out-of-the-box promotion ideas. And it just had some very interesting and cool things. So I'll link to it. But it had like one person had a cover that had like an earring on it. And so she had those earrings made. And it was just really cool. Things like that, like doing special editions of your books. I can't remember the other stuff, but I just thought if somebody wants to do something a little bit different, that could be a place to get some ideas. So.
Okay. And Campbell is making an appearance on the show in the background. Sorry about that, y'all, but he was up all night, so he's talking loudly.
Yeah.
So those are cool ideas, though. Gosh.
Yeah.
I would never thought to have the earrings made. That's so funny.
I know. And I thought that is very clever. And people, we're taking pictures of them and posting them on Instagram. So it's like you're making something from your book wearable, which is, pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I'll link to that. I want to see it. So I haven't looked at it. So that'll be great.
Yeah. So that was a lot of news and a lot of laughing about memes. So I think we're done.
Crack me up. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk to Cheryl.
All right. Here we go. So today on the podcast, we're really excited to have Cheryl Phipps with us. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, guys. How are you?
We are great. We're so happy you're here.
Thank you.
We're really looking forward to talking to you. So let me read your bio real quick. USA Today and Amazon bestselling author Cheryl Phipps lives in beautiful Auckland, New Zealand. As a young mother with 3 small children, Cheryl escaped the daily chaos of motherhood through her beloved romance novels. Cheryl also writes cozy mysteries and sweet romance as C.A. Phipps. So glad you're here.
And she's also one of the 4 hosts of the Spa Girls podcast, which we talk about on here all the time.
Which is excellent.
Yes. We love that podcast. So, Cheryl, tell us how you got into writing.
I had been writing for a long, long time, basically short stories and anything that came to mind. English was my top subject at school, and I carried that through just in writing little things for myself. But when I had my children very young, I was stuck at home, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners could empathise with that. As much as you love your children, you do need something else. And so I would pen little short stories, and then I started to get a bit more serious, and I did a few online courses and that sort of thing. I didn't have any qualifications, so I really want people to know that if you're just starting out, that honestly, anybody can do this. You just have to train yourself like in any job.
Right.
And so that's where it all began. And then I went to a RWNZ meeting, which is Romance Writers of New Zealand. And I got into that, just went to a library talk one day, and the founder was there, Jean Drew. And that was it. She got me to go along to one of these meetings, and I met some like-minded people, loved it. And then, of course, the big deal for me, I went to a conference in New Zealand, which I thoroughly recommend conferences, and met my fellow Spa girls. First of all, it was Wendy, and we latched onto each other as roomies. And then the other two, it just was very organic, and it was absolutely wonderful, and the best thing that has ever happened to me in my writing career, I guess. Right. These girls, they are, they boost me up. They... they have pushed me forward and made me press publish. So,
yeah, I know that's true because Wendy is very, I wish I hung out with Wendy every day. I think I would be much more productive because she's relentless.
She's so focused. She is so
really
focused.
She's so focused. And
she often says how lazy she is.
Oh, I know.
And I could just, seriously, I could just throttle her, throw something at her, because she is the least lazy person. When it comes to writing, honestly, if she decides this is what she's going to do, this particular book, gets everything sorted, you can look up to her, and you follow her example, and you will never, ever go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's obvious that you guys are really close friends on the podcast. So if you haven't listened to the Spa Girls podcast, highly recommend go over there and take a listen, because it's got tons of great information, and y'all's rapport is really fun. I like that.
We do give each other a ton of hard times. I was trying to think of an appropriate word. I don't know what words I can use.
We know what you mean, though.
And of course, if you can get past the accents, you'll be right.
I love the accents. So tell us, what is your definition of success?
I think success is, I can only say it from my point of view, because I think it is entirely different for every single one of us, is making enough money that this job that I love, that often doesn't feel like a job, pays my way. And that's the definition of success for me. It didn't start out like that. I have to say, it's a story that I tell quite often when we do our little workshops, and that definition of success for me was making that $100 threshold on Amazon. When I first started out, that first year, that was yes, it had to. And before that, of course, obviously, it was publishing the book. So it changes over time. Yes. We evolve, don't we? And then I think I don't like to say we get greedy, but our aspirations change, and the level of what we're willing to accept changes. So, and circumstances can dictate that as well. But that for me, that's what it basically means, that I am paying my way.
I agree with that completely. We move the goalpost.
Yes,
we just have, the hope is we don't move the goalpost too prematurely, or before we've adequately celebrated the win that we just had. Which I'm
exactly. Sure and I think too that we should be very, very careful of comparing our goalposts with other people, because it's not fair to yourself. Actually, it's really not fair. You need to be comfortable, I think, at a certain level, understand how you got there, and be able to repeat that, on and on, and then, in time, you'll do better.
Level up if you need to.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Well, tell us what you wish you'd known about writing in craft.
Oh, in craft, pretty much everything. Yeah. Pretty much everything. I thought I knew a lot. I speak reasonably well. I have a good comprehension, and really, my grammar just sucks. I wish I had been better at that. Now I've actually evolved into the headspace that's what I pay an editor for.
Yeah.
So I do the very, very, very best I can, and I'm not dismal, but
I am. Poor Serena.
Oh yes, she's edited for me too. Yes, yeah.
So, but yes, but I think that what I wish I had known is that doesn't need to stop me. And I think that's what you're saying. Yeah,
I am saying that exactly. I think I needed to have a much higher level of patience when I started out. I wanted to get that book out in a hurry, and it wasn't ready, and eventually came down as I got better at my craft. And that's what I'm saying about going to conferences. If somebody had said to me, truly, if you go to these conferences and you listen to people, don't take in every single word,
right.
But what resonates with you, or what you actually need more things than others, and grammar was certainly one of them, then you will get better. You will get better, because you just hear something often enough and it does resonate, doesn't it? All of a sudden, who knows why? And you kick on, and you think, well, now I can write a better blurb, or now I can be more objective when I'm looking at my covers and things like that. As you go along, it just builds up till you get a better picture of who you are as an author, your brand, and all those sorts of things, which when you start out, you're just swimming upstream, really, aren't you?
There's just so much too.
Yes. So much.
Overwhelmed. Yeah.
And overwhelmed is huge. We talk about that a lot with the Spa girls. That you get overwhelmed, and that's what stops you. Because you're constantly doubting yourself. I'm not good enough. How could I put up a book where all of these other millions of people are putting them up? Or how could I expect to make sales? Nobody in the world knows me. And all these things are true.
Right.
But only in that space of time.
Right.
But it doesn't mean you can't do it, even though it's all true, but you kind of have to get your head in the right space to think that. Yeah. So you said that English was really one of your good subjects, and it was mine too. And I was like, this is what I'm good at, so I'm going to try and do this. But I think there's a big difference between being good at English in school and then writing fiction, because I didn't write much fiction, and I majored in English, and writing fiction is a whole other game, even if you have good grammar. And it's okay to break the rules in grammar, which, that's just so in fiction, because you conveying certain things. It's completely different. And it takes a while to kind of get your legs under you doing fiction, I think. It takes a while.
And I don't know whether it's a little presumptuous to say that when an editor reads your book, they're not in your head. So they don't know these characters completely. They don't know that these characters, might be having a joke about something or, being sarcastic or whatever. And for me, you throw in a comma because that's how it sounds to you in your head.
Right.
They're right. Of course they're right most of the time, because a reader needs to read it a certain way, don't they?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. Exactly.
But, I think they're not always right.
Right.
But, they don't,
I just sent something to Serena yesterday, and because my last book, Homecoming King, I sort of freaked out at her edit. Like, like I was. It was a little devastating for a few days, and anyway, and I know she felt terrible because she's the nicest person in the world, and but I told her, I said, please. I know I freaked out, but that doesn't mean I don't want to know what you think. Please do not be afraid of my insecurities, because I need you to tell me what you think and how to fix this, because that's why I pay you. And
we just don't always want to hear it.
I don't want to hear it. Just because I don't want to hear it doesn't mean I don't need to hear it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
And speaking of conferences, I love a conference. And I would go to a conference in Chernobyl right now. I would stop on my radiation little badge thing and be on the front row if they set one up.
I have seen you at conference. That is your place. That is your place in the world. You are just on fire at a conference.
I would go anywhere right now to a conference. Yeah, if I could.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what about marketing? What do you wish you had known about marketing?
Oh, again, pretty much everything. And I started in 2014. So, I've been around a little while. And I still have fought myself all the way with Facebook marketing, which is kind of disappointing when I go on a podcast and tell people, give everything a go. And it was just one of those things, I'll do Bookbub, I'll do Amazon ads, but Facebook was just like, I don't know. And the girls, on the podcast, they've given me a bit of a hard time about it in the nicest possible way. And you know what? I started up after Christmas, sort of smacked myself on the head a bit and said, don't be such a baby. and I've had such great results in a couple of weeks.
Wonderful.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, you just a fool to yourself. Leaving money on the table. My parents were English, very, very, very conservative when it came to money, and I won't say tight, but we valued the dollar, and I guess that's my reasoning, because I know how quickly Facebook can suck your money. So I wish I had known. I don't know, to not be afraid, to not find excuses, and they were excuses. Because I think if you can do one sort of marketing, you can do them all. You might not do them all as well as each other,
right?
But and you don't have to do them all.
No.
But I saw the results that my good friend Wendy was getting, and she just kept saying, Cheryl, you just have to do it. And I think back in the beginning, in around 2014. Marketing wasn't really like it is now. It wasn't bold, I think. Bold, I think it is. It's, in your face kind of stuff, and all this, testing and all that sort of thing. It just, if it was there, I didn't know about it. I didn't really hear about it. For me, the biggest thing right from the beginning, and we say it now, we talk about it all the time, you hear about it all the time, is get that newsletter started. And I wish I had done that from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because you waste a lot of time, and you leave money on the table by not. Don't want to make it sound all about the money, but it is my job after all. Right. Yeah, just I think you just have to get started from the beginning with the basics. So you've got your writing, and you get your newsletter list, and even a website isn't as important as that newsletter list, but it's a good place. It's a good thing to have so that you can direct people from there. You know, everything you use as a marketing tool to get people onto your list, that's a good thing, and you shouldn't downplay those things.
Yeah.
And I sell books every time I send out a newsletter. Every time.
Yeah, I think it's really important that that you do it regularly. Keep people focused on you as an author, because they'll be quite happy to move on to somebody else if they don't see you pop up in their email from time to time. And I was doing that about once a month, not as evenly as I should be, and now I'm doing it bi-monthly. Yeah. And again, as you said, Jami, I sell books every time I send a newsletter out. So.
Every time. And some of those people have been on your newsletter list for years. And they're still,
Yeah, exactly.
It just hits them at the right time. But and
I also find just being more present with the Facebook ads and things like that, I'm actually picking up more readers every day. And so that's organic. And you know, that you can't put a price on those.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, those ones will hang around.
Yeah, so it just gives you more visibility, right? It's
absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that. Oh, I was just going to say, I'm so happy to hear that you tried it and it went well, because we heard all these people who were like, "Oh, I tried it was terrible. I lost thousands of dollars." So.
I know. Well, it's not that didn't happen, because it did happen, which is what stopped me from doing it. Yeah. So, but now I think I've honed my craft so much more in the way that I present the ads. You know, I understand more about the graphics and I understand more about the blurb. So, you have to be prepared to lose some money on Facebook ads, and I just wasn't. That's how it was. And now I'm okay, because I'm earning decent money, and so I'm like, come on.
Exactly. Take that step. Yeah, exactly. So what assumptions did you make at the beginning of your writing career, and looking back, they turn out to be right or wrong?
Well, for the most part, New Zealanders we don't, like shout our name from the rooftops or anything like that. So to be absolutely honest, I didn't have any lofty ideals that I would be a great writer and sell a ton of books. What I did want was so desperately was to get a publisher to buy my book and pay me lots of money. And that didn't happen. And to be fair, again, I didn't actually sell myself much to this. I would go to conference and they'd request my book, and like so many people, I think the level of people that respond to agents who request their book is like some pathetic percentage, like 2% or what, I don't know, I'm just making that up. And I sent my book to one agent. So, I mean, you're not really giving yourself a very good chance when you do things like that. No, so that's another thing, that fear of failure or that fear of success. Who knows? Who knows what drives us sometimes?
Or just imposter syndrome.
Yes. Who am I? Who am I when I'm sitting at the table with Nalini Singh, who's just absolutely awesome, and I think how I can't be like her. Surely I can't be like her. And I'm not, but I am an author.
But you can,
and you're making a living author.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. I'm making a living author. Yes.
Yeah.
I just aspire to be a making a living author like Wendy.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Exactly. She is awesome. Awesome. But still, she does not talk herself up either. So, crazy.
Not at all.
All right. So have you ever made a mistake that turned out to be a good thing?
Not really. I don't think so. I think sometimes when I've had put the price in for a book and lowered it for whatever reason, and you've kind of missed the mark, I think you might have lost something there, but you can actually gain it with that sense of panic by chasing different ads that you wouldn't normally use. And I have found on 2 or 3 occasions, and I've actually done really, really well with those ads, which, you know, you might have lost some, like I say, prior to that, but you found another avenue. So that's a small one, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think, yeah, probably it's all about timing. You know, when you make your mistakes, you just have to move on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've never really gained anything from making huge mistakes. I've found I've had a couple of editors that haven't turned out to be very good for me, and I've moved on and found better ones. So if you can put that in that pool, then certainly that's been a huge deal.
Yeah.
And again, I listen to other people, you know, how they're getting on, and I think once you find somebody like that, you just kind of stick with them. But it doesn't hurt to try other avenues. It really doesn't.
Not at all. Not
Very
at all.
true. Yeah.
So what about the opposite? Have you ever done something you thought this is going to be a winner, and then it turned out to not work out so well?
Yes. I could tell you some stories, girls, but without mentioning names, I went, because you'll know who it is as soon as I say. I won't say the name. This particular woman was doing lots of box sets, like lots and lots and lots of box sets. And she took our books and she took our money from she was selling them, and then there was no royalties, and she pleaded lots of things. And honestly, everybody, it was about, I don't know, maybe 18 authors were very, very supportive initially. And she did this over and over again. And I found that very, very hard, very, very hard, because I felt like it was a winning formula with the authors that I was involved with, and I think they did too. And to have it just fall in your face and get nothing from it. And in those days, it was a few years ago, in those days you didn't actually fight back. And even now I don't know that I would, because you don't want your name tarnished, but then it kind of gets in your that people get away with these things. But,
yeah. Overall, the indie author world is very supportive, and
absolutely.
Most people are really good, but every once in a while something happens, and it's almost a shock in a way, because people are so nice generally that when something like that happens, it's very hard,
upfront and honest, and
yeah.
But one of the women that was in the box set. So here you go. This is a huge mistake that I made unwittingly with joining that box set, and out of it, this lovely, lovely woman who is quite a well-known author, she said to me, "Oh, I'm so sorry this has happened. It had nothing to do with her. She did nothing wrong. Would you like to come into this?" I won't even say what it is, but and so I wrote a book for her. And that went really, really well. And I met some amazing people through that. So there you go. That was a win.
Yeah, that's good. And that's what it's like, these lessons that we learn. It's like the good and the bad, the lessons that we're learning from them. And that's the whole thing, is that if you can pull a lesson out of something, whether it was good or bad, then it's good. Yeah.
I think in all aspects of your life, just being kind can take you so much further than being, I don't know, aggressive or pushy or whatever. I think there are places for those, but honestly, the kindness that I've experienced through lots of authors has been amazing. Jami and I have, shared our newsletter lists for romance writing and that sort of thing, and Sara, you've helped me out as well, and it's. Things like that. That's what makes our world go round, I think.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. I have just always, the kindnesses that have been given to me, it's always just shocking sometimes how kind people are.
Yes.
I always try to do that for other people, but there's always, every once in a while, a bad apple, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. But I think being a good community member in the end will lead you so much further than
it always wins out.
Yeah. You don't want to be stepping on people. You want to, take what people give you and be thankful. You know, you don't have to be bending over backwards grateful, but, you know, be thankful and then try and reciprocate or pay it forward or
pay it forward.
Yeah.
I think paying it forward is big.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, talk to us about your transition from romance to cozy mystery. Or I don't know if you actually completely transitioned, but like talk to us about
I have two pen names, so it was just a baptism of fire, but I had done so much research on it because I like to read them as well. So that was a good thing. Although I love romance and I still do, I just jumped in, boots and all, and I got a series going pretty quickly and made so much more money than my romances. And it was kind of like, it was bittersweet. Mm-hmm. And I now have 2 series up and another one I'm just about to start. But they are hand over fist bringing in far more than my romances. And I don't know what that says about romance, that the pool is so heavy, you know, so full. I still believe there's always space. I still believe this is a good time to be a writer, but for me personally, the cozy mysteries are doing so much better. So I will keep writing romances, but it will probably be at a much, like 1 to 3 or something like that, the ratio that I would do that at.
Are your cozies shorter than your romances?
No, they actually are pretty much the same length. And in fact, I have had a couple of reviews of people saying that they're much longer than most cozies. I don't know that that's true. I don't know that that's true because yours.
Yeah, mine are like 65 to 75,000 usually.
Yeah, mine never get to
some
that.
of them are a lot shorter, but
yeah, no, I would say mine are easily 50 to 65.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah. Was there anything you wish you had known about changing genres, or any advice or tips you could give people?
Well, people had warned me that it would be hard to have two pen names. And I think I still think I had to do it, but oh my gosh, I would advise anybody to seriously think twice about it. It is so much more work. It really is. And I'm really bad because I would probably have far more sales from my newsletter if I actually split it, which I haven't, because I have meant to. I have all good intentions, and then before I know it, it's that time to sending one out, and I'm like, it's just going, and I always promise them, you know, something. If it's heavy on cozy mysteries, then I'll promise them something next time for romance, and you know, even if it's just a free book from a friend of mine or something like that.
Yeah.
So but I did know all the things about it. I just didn't appreciate how hard it would be to keep that going. You know, Facebook pages. I only have one Twitter account, thank goodness, and I don't do a lot on there anyway. But Facebook pages is like,
that would be hard. It would be hard.
Yeah. Just thinking of different things that appeal, because I'm still the same person, but trying to write something in a different flavour for each pen name is I beg, borrow, and steal post. Yeah.
We've sort of talked about this a little bit, but you can tell from the Spa Girls podcast that you guys are very close friends. And do you have any tips for other authors for making friends in the business?
Oh, look, I just think you need to communicate. And that's awkward. But, you know, what I tell the people that I discuss these things with is that the people are only strangers until you hold your hand out. And then, you know, once you've said hello, you can just move on from there. And I find if you ask a question, you will get an answer, but you might get 10 answers. And there is no right answer. So therefore, you're already winning. And maybe you can do the same in return. Maybe somebody will ask a question that you will know the answer to, or you just have an opinion on. I think as long as it's expressed in a way that's not, you know, completely aggressive or anything, you'll just learn so much more. And if it hadn't been for the Spa Girls, like I say, I wouldn't have been a writer potentially, or certainly wouldn't have got it off the ground when I did, and certainly would not have been able to give up work and do it full time. So that took a few years. So, I think listening to how other people deal with that sort of thing, that transition is a big deal. But, just information.
Yeah.
Just getting that information. Yeah. Find your people. As an author, you need people.
Yes. Absolutely.
So
bounce
100%. Yes.
Lift you up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of, and I think it comes from being a friend. I mean, it's just, you know, you like something somebody does, you reach out to them, and or if you just think they're interesting people, just reaching out and saying, hey, I think you're an interesting person. I mean, and with no expectation really that anything's going to come back your way, though it usually does. It's just, you know.
Well, I always respond. To people. I guess I'm not in the same class as maybe Marie Force or Bella Andre or something like that. So I don't have billions and billions of emails coming my way. Right. But I do try and get back to people. It might not be within 24 hours or 48 hours, but just an acknowledgement, especially if they're saying something nice about your work.
Right.
I mean, goodness, you want to hold on to them. Yes, right. Thank you. Exactly. It doesn't hurt, does it? Really.
No, not at all.
No, you just set aside some time. And I think that's another thing that I'd like to share with your listeners is making time for all the things you must do, and then the things that you want to do, that they just slot in around it. Don't be getting up in the morning and spending 3 hours on social media.
No.
Why? No, I'm
Get the work done. Get the work done
That's
first.
the problem? Okay, I got it.
Yeah. I mean, there's always urgent things that you need to attend to first thing, isn't there? But then, that's what stood me in good stead, actually, is to get the words down. That's the most important thing. If I don't have another book coming out for a year, sales will decline. And until you have lots of books out so that you've got a backlist, you have to be producing the work.
Yeah. You need product,
Yes.
Because
yes, absolutely.
We love our books, but they are what we're trying to sell. And so if you only have one or two or three, it's harder, especially if you're trying to make an income. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think down the track it will get easier the more books we have out. You might want to sit back a bit, but at the moment I'm doing about 4 books a year, and that seems to be a comfortable place for me. So there are times when it's not. I admit, when deadlines are looming, but I haven't met an author yet, whether they produce a book once a month or once a year, that didn't feel like that. I honestly cannot say I've ever.
That is so true. That is so true. Yeah. 1 book a year or 10 books a year. We're still all complaining about our deadlines.
I know.
Coming right up to the edge.
I know. Because when you start out, it seems like you've got so much time ahead of you.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It's like, I've got time to do this.
Well, so since you're writing romance and cozy mystery, so you're still writing both, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
So how do you, I was going to say, how do you juggle the two genres, like in your writing schedule and in, like you talked a little bit about your promotion, but like how do you plan out which books or do
because this, the Cozy Mysteries I've only been doing for about 3 years. So that's kind of like half of my lifespan as an author so far. I've completely focused on the Cozy Mysteries, and that was wrong in one respect, but it was right because it was going so well. And I think you always have to be working on what is going well.
Right.
However, as I said before, I don't want to lose my romance readers. So I will do it like a ratio 1-3. So if I wasn't going to concentrate on a new series, then I would fit it in amongst it. But right now I'm finishing a Cozy Mystery, and then I'm actually going to start a 3-book Cozy Mystery, a new series, and I say 3 because that's the least amount that I'm going to do for a series. That's my minimum. Whether I get that 3rd one of that done this year, or whether I change it for one of my High Seas Weddings romances, that's got a 3rd book to come, and it's halfway written.
Oh.
And I kind of feel that would be. It's quite nice to have a break in between, and not always, for me, not always writing Cozy Mysteries. So somewhere in there that will go. I'm just not sure when. I have my schedule out for these 4 books cozies, but I feel like I'm going to have to slot that romance in there. Mm-hmm. I kind of owe it to my readers. I did one last year, one romance, again to finish the 3-book series. So because that was my marketing strategy. I had these romance series going with only 2 books in them. And I thought, to give them a chance, because you can always box set them, down the track. So that's my strategy. And then after that, I don't know where the romance is going. I'll probably have to start a new series. But yes, one to 3 is what I aim for.
Yeah.
I think that's
smart though, especially if cozies are what's making you your money right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You have to go. You have to do that. Do you have pushback from your readers, like your romance readers?
Not so much. I sometimes wonder if I have a little bit of a drop-off in my newsletter list. If I have a few unsubscribes, I kind of wonder if that's because there's not enough romance going on.
There's too much cozy, huh?
Yeah. And I understand that. And like I say, that is my problem. That is something that I have to work on, and I know that. I had an assistant start before Christmas, and she was fresh out of graphic design school, and so she was doing all my graphics, and oh my gosh, I couldn't believe how much time she saved me. And I was paying her minimum wage. She was lovely girl, a daughter's friend, a friend's daughter, and and anyway, because she couldn't get a job because of COVID and all that sort of thing. So I took her on part-time, and we came out of lockdown and she got a job for a huge company in New Zealand. And she was so apologetic, was the sweetest kid. And I said to her, this is your chance, you have to do it. And so I'm like, I don't have this. I have to start again. There is a silver lining. I do have one in the pipe works, and I'm sort of waiting for her children to go back to kindy and daycare, and then hopefully I'll latch on to her. Don't tell her I said anything. So
Mom's the word.
Exactly. And so I'm looking forward to that, because I think that will help do things like split my list and do things properly in that area. I'm sure that because a lot of people have hung around, that they will actually read both. So, but to be fair to the ones that don't want cozy, it isn't a quiet taste, but
right.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, I'm curious, since coming from romance, where the series are kind of different, they're usually focused on the different characters. When you switch to cozy, so do you have a single character that runs through all of your cozies, and then do you have like a end point for your cozies, or do you kind of keep them open-ended, like that the series can go on?
They are definitely open-ended, yes. Because they're set in small towns, and I like the characters, so I still weave in a lot of characters, and then I can pick and choose, kind of, cherry pick through the series which ones stay and have a prominent place,
right?
And because I write about one series is about 3 sisters, and the others is about four friends, female friends, and that's me to a T. I love those dynamics.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of a point of difference, but it's still the same situation. And I do have a love interest in them, and it starts off very, very slow. And oh my gosh, I did get some pushback about that, because they wanted it, and I'm like,
it was too slow burn.
I have read about cozy mysteries, and it is not about the romance, but do you think my readers cared about that?
Okay, so that's very funny, because I have lots of readers that they're interested in the plot, and they like the puzzle, but the emails I get are about the characters, the romance. Yes. And I think that's just what draws people in. I don't think they want that for like the whole story.
No.
And they really don't want them to get together. They kind of do, but they kind of, it's like they want that tension.
It's so weird, isn't it?
Yes.
Because I'm sure you did all your homework and read up on what makes a cozy mystery and what we were supposed to do and what we were supposed to do. And it was like, okay, so you've just blown that out of the water. It is different. Like you say, it's a very slow burn, and it's, there's no sex or anything like that. But, there's a little bit of kissing maybe, and hand holding, and support. So,
drawn it out as long as possible, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
In my series that I'm going right now, it's a historical, so it's even slower because it's historical, 1920s. But my characters kiss in book 5, So, I managed to draw it out that way.
Draw it out, yeah.
So I was like,
did you get believe me, I was like, when is this happening?
Come on.
And Jami's like, okay, that's not nearly enough.
No, I know. I will say that it was actually quite a relief not to have to write a sex scene.
Well,
I have heard that from other romance writers. Not Jami, but I mean, like, it's so funny to me that romance writers don't seem to enjoy to write sex scenes. That's like,
well, I don't mind it, but I kind of felt like I was maybe getting a bit boring.
Well, yeah, I've said this before. There's only so many ways.
I know, and I guess it's all about the feels, isn't it? It's all about the two people, but no, it's quite nice. I quite like a mystery, and I like throwing in all the red herrings, and
they're fun.
I love reading them. I don't know that I could write them though. I just I don't think that way. I'd be wanting to spill the beans way too early.
Give the secret away.
Well, I'm always telling stories to the grandchildren, and even when I'm watching TV, I pick the plots apart, and they forgot about that. They didn't mention that.
Exactly. So, Cheryl, tell us what you think you've done to set yourself up for success.
I think learning my craft, although it's probably taken me a bit longer than I would have liked, and also surrounding myself with people, like-minded people, and people who care about my career. I am very fortunate that I have a very supportive husband, and he was quite happy for me to give up work 3 years ago and do this full time, and that's only made things better. Because I don't think I was as focused when I was working and writing.
Yeah.
So I think that having a place, having my office. I don't always sit here. I'm a bit like Jami. I wander around.
You guys can't see this, but I've changed rooms since. My house is a disaster area.
I will go out to coffee shops with my friends, especially Wendy, and we will just write. We'll stop and have something to eat and a drink, and then we'll just carry on writing. We'll do sprints for about 30 minutes at a time, and just get as many words down as you can, because it doesn't even matter if they're not particularly good words, because whatever you get, it's something.
Right.
It's something to edit.
You can always work on them and make them better.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that, especially when you're coming to a deadline, it sounds silly, doesn't it, to go out of your home and to work in a noisy cafe. And it took a long time to get used to. When Wendy just puts in headphones and away she goes, but I just sit there and have the noise around me. But you do go home with so many more words than you would if you'd have been sitting there in a room by yourself, feeling the pressure, feeling everything closing down. I have to get this finished.
Well, whatever works.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's not going to work for everybody else, but
something to try. Yeah. Well, where can people find out more about you and your books?
So you can find me at CherylPhipps.com. So that's for my romance, and CAPhipps.com. And of course, I'm on Facebook at CA Phipps or Cheryl Phipps, and Twitter, not really there too much, but come say hi wherever you are, and I will get back to you.
That is great. Well, we will have all those links, and we'll also have the link to the Spa Girls podcast, and you can find them at the wishidknownthen.podcast.com, and we'll see y'all next week. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Wish I'd Known Then podcast. We hope this episode inspired you, empowered you, and made you laugh a little bit too. If you loved it, tell your friends about it. And if you feel so inclined, leave us a review. We look forward to being with you again next week.